It is 4 o'clock in the morning here in southeastern Minnesota. Another insomniac night for your Uncle Squinty. But the remedy to my insomnia might be on the horizon. Hi, everybody. Paul Schellbitter from the Dank Basement, speaking quietly and subdued compared to other pinch Witcha Squinties because it's 4 o'clock in the morning, because Auntie Squinty is still sawing logs in the master chamber. And therefore, I gotta kind of be quiet. And also, I don't have a lot of energy yet. I'm not drinking coffee this morning. I'm drinking some Masala Chi. This is a mix I get from nuts.com. They're good business. And I love shopping there. They're expensive, but I love shopping at nuts.com, and they got stuff that it would be hard for me to get here in the outback of Minnesota. So here in Farratucky, Faribault, Minnesota, Farratucky. Yeah, he got a pretty mouth on him, ain't he, Paul? You know, like that. Hang on a second. I'll be right back. I gotta find some snuff. Okay, we're back. I've decided I'm going to use some of this Snuv Toot. That's right, I said toot. You know, like cocaine. Blow, like cocaine. White line, like cocaine. You know, cocaine. An illegal drug that's really dangerous and might make your heart or your head explode. Yeah, that's what we want to name a snuff after. Brilliant marketing, Davey. Brilliant marketing, you pissant. There we go. That's right, I just called the owner of Mr. Snuff a pissant. I'm sure he can take it. He's a big boy. Cheers. Snuv Toot, man. I'm tootin'. Oh, that's good. You know, I have a love-hate relationship with Rustica. I really do. You know, I grew up with the Nicotiana tabacum. Everybody knows tobacco. And then there's Rustica, which is closer genetically to deadly nightshade. A lot more nicotine. It also has a bunch of other alkaloids that are psychoactive. And so, you know, it's wonderful as far as a drug. It's a tremendous drug. Does it smell great? If you're being charitable, you will say things like, well, it has an earthy, mushroomy scent with just a hint of molasses. No, it smells like dirty feet. Rustica is funky. Funky. Not in a bad way. I mean, I've stuck my nose in a lot funkier things than this. Believe me. I'm not going to tell any stories about where I stuck my nose that was funky, but trust me, my nose has been up to my sinuses in some pretty serious funk. Anyway, it's kind of a funky scent. You either love it or you hate it. And frankly, there are times when I just don't need that much nicotine. Now, most snuffs that I've reviewed have been somewhere between 4 and 6 on my magical 10-point scale. Completely subjective, because it's based on my perception and not on laboratory testing. But, you know, most snuffs I perceive as somewhere mid-range for nicotine. Rustica tends to be 6, 7, 8, not 4, 5, 6. And on that scale, where 1 is no perceptible nicotine and 10 is way too much. Sometimes it goes higher with the Rustica snuffs, 8.5, 9. I think that the Dragon Madras from Ajanta Naswar is very strong. And that's not even a white snuff. And then you have the white snuffs that are treated with alkalis, to make them stronger in nicotine. Then you add the Rustica, they get stronger still. But there are times when I just don't need that level of nicotine. I would prefer to have a sniffing experience that's a little bit less intense. You know. And as I get older, you know, I start to worry about things like my heart and blood pressure and things like that. So I don't always need a big pile of nicotine. Now, fortunately, there's plenty of low nicotine offerings. Most of the stuff sold by Pershel that you would find, like the Gletscher Priestess and stuff, they're moderate nicotine. They're not going to blow your doors off. Most of Wilson's snuffs, most of them, they're... Now, I know people are going to be writing, well, what about Snuff ABC? That's strong as hell. You know, I understand. I'm not saying that all the snuffs from Wilson's are lower nicotine. Not all the snuffs from Toke are real high nicotine, especially when you get to some of their earlier candy flavors, the Toke Coke, for instance. Speaking of bad names, but ballsy ones, because it's a cola snuff. He basically stepped on Coca-Cola's trademark. That's respectable. Toke Blueberry, you know, some of Toke Peach. Absinthe is pretty strong, but many of the Tokes aren't nicotine burners. You know, they're not blowtorches. So you can find lower nicotine snuffs to use. Some of the plain snuffs can be low in nicotine. I don't think the Gekachler Burgini from Bernard's is terribly high nicotine. It's super pleasant to sniff. High Dry Toast, moderate, a little bit above average nicotine, but again, it's not going to blow your doors off. But there are some attempts. I guess it's what the market wants, and the young punk contingent among us has been screaming for more nicotine, more nicotine, more nicotine, and the market answered. So, and speaking of that, I only have a couple of snuffs from my last couple of Mr. Snuff orders to review. Actually, I have a dozen of them, and they are based with Rustica. This is the Jantanaswar Factory's sampler box. There are 12 tins of their Rustica-based snuffs, all of which are loosely named after playing cards. I say loosely because not all of them are named after playing cards, but there is Joker, there is Queen, there is Hearts, there's Aces or Clubs or something, I don't know, Spade. I'll have to go through these with somebody with eyes and try to figure out what aromas they're supposed to be. But these are from Jantanaswar. Jantanaswar, kind of right now, is the king of Rustica-based snuffs. They produce a lot of good ones. But again, it's not going to be to everybody's taste, and you're not going to need all that nicotine all the time. So I have to tell you what happened. If you are tuning into this, it is because you may have tuned in yesterday to Pinch Witcha Squinty, the Anus McBrainus edition, which has now been pulled from YouTube by me. I made it unlisted. If you know the link, you can still find it, and I'll be happy to send you the link if you really want to see it. But what YouTube did, because I infringed on Paul Schaefer's copyright, I think NBC owns the song too, the original theme from David Letterman, and I had it kind of playing behind me, and YouTube said, it ain't a copyright strike, but you have one chance to fix this. Why don't you just let us strip the music out of the video? Well, as a result, from the about 40-second mark to about the 4-minute, 8-second mark, they stripped out all the audio so that the offending song would not be presented. So I basically made it unlisted, and this is taking its place, although it's not nearly as much fun as what I uploaded yesterday. Cheers. Got a little on me. Yeah, I don't like being insomniac, and I'm perpetually insomniac, which is why I have high hopes for a gift that was supposed to arrive yesterday, but because of snow and cold and winter weather, post office did not deliver our mail yesterday. But it's coming today. A friend of mine is sending me some legal cannabis products, simulated marijuana, if you want to call it that. Delta 8 THC instead of Delta 9, and all of the lovely terpenes. But they've got it down to a science, and according to the website hellomood.co, it's like getting high with weed, just a little milder, a little less paranoid, a little less disconnected, which means it's weak-ass shit. But they're putting a positive spin on it, and God knows they've got variety at the website. I went to hellomood.co. They're advertising all over YouTube, which is why I went there. And their prices are pretty high, and I couldn't afford it right now. But a lady friend of mine who lives in Oklahoma, where the business is located, said, Yeah, I'll send you some Delta 9. You know, Merry Christmas. Or Delta 8, Merry Christmas. So I'm going to be getting some of this simulated marijuana, which is, by the way, legal federally. You can send it through the mail. Cultivation is legal as long as it has less than 0.3% THC by dry weight. If you think about it, that's a lot of THC. 3 grams for every kilo of pure THC. So that's not it, it's not insignificant, but we'll see how it works. They're counting on things like the terpenes to provide, and also the other characteristics of strains. For instance, one of the things she's sending me to help me sleep is a joint of their Bubba Kush. So we'll see how it works. I will review it on camera. I'll sit down here and smoke. I think she said she was also sending me an infused joint that's packed with power. I think she said it's called Green Ghost or Green Goblin or something. And Green Lantern, I don't know. But those are coming probably today. So tonight's pinch, which is Squinty, we're going to be trying some legal cannabis product, simulated marijuana. And so that's what's going on. We've got the Janta Naswar Rustica playing cards deck that I want to go through. We'll also be going back to some of those nicotine pouches, filter bags, that I got from Fubar and 6 Photos. So far, not at all impressed with those. They taste like aspirin after a while, like you're dissolving an aspirin in your mouth. They're not real pleasant. I like Snus better. And I do like the On pouches, but that's tobacco candy, just like Camel Snus is tobacco candy. The On filter bags are tobacco candy. But I've got some of those and really enjoying them. But the filter bags so far that I've tried from India, etc., are not that great. Bitter and yeah. Do they provide nicotine? Oh yeah, you get the nicotine, and they're not horrible. You know, you can swallow the juice and whatever. And the size of the portions are very, very small, so they're very discreet. Tuck it in between your gum and your upper lip, and get on the airplane. And when they're making the announcements that all tobacco products are prohibited on the airline, which is ridiculous. If I want to have a snooze in my mouth, I'm not going to bother anybody. And in fact, they don't know. If you're not sitting there spitting into your empty coffee cup, you know, you're not doing dip. If you're not trying to sneak a vape. I've seen so many people try to sneak a vape on the plane. It's like, why? Wow. Why does the air smell like strawberry shortcake, and why am I seeing steam in the air? You know, oh, I'm on the down low with my vape here in row 33. You can't really. But these nicotine pouches and Swedish snus and filter bags and so on are good if you have to travel on an airplane. Other than that, I can't see much use for them. But I'll be reviewing those too. I love long, slow mornings, and I'm going to let you get back to yours. I hope that you have a wonderful Friday, the 16th of December, 2022. Are you ready for Christmas yet? We are not, but we are. And let me explain. Okay, the gifts have been bought. Typically now, my wife and I, we don't give each other very much. It's not a big deal, because whenever we need something, we just go out and buy it. So if we can afford it, we go out and buy it. So, you know, my wife's birthday is Christmas Eve, and then we have Christmas Day. We are not doing anything with family. I exchanged Christmas gifts with my brothers. Got a big box of citrus from my brother in New York, and I got something that really looks interesting. I need to look up online. It's called Hot Crow Chow, and it's from the Loveless Cafe. And he sent me 6 jars of this Hot Crow Chow, which I have no idea what it is. My brother Tim, he always finds the weirdest possible, coolest food that he can, and then he'll send that. Cheers. And I've got all the gifts bought for Betsy, but the reason things are up in the air, aside from the fact that we are not interfacing with any extended family at all this year, is that we were supposed to have 3 house guests, Mom and her 2 teenage kids. They're coming up from the south to visit us, and but I don't think they're going to make it for Christmas for a variety of reasons. I think they're not going to make it. So looks like Christmas will just be the cat and Betsy and me, and maybe that's all right. We'll be listening to some Christmas music, drinking a nice hot drink, and being as in love as we have been for 40 years. We don't even really have a Christmas tree. We've got this little metal thing with LEDs and fiber optic strands and stuff in it. It's pretty. It ain't like the great big tree that we usually put up, but Rudy likes to climb the great big tree and destroy it. So we decided to go for this little tree, which he is still fascinated by, the little tree, but he doesn't try to destroy it. I don't know. Christmas has changed the older I've gotten. I'm not depressed about it. It's still a lovely time of year, and I really enjoy it. But it's gotten different as I've gotten older. It's different. Anyway, so it looks like we're not going to have house guests for Christmas, which changes our plans. Thank God we didn't lay in a bunch of food for a big Christmas dinner to welcome them and whatever, because they're just not going to be here by Christmas. So that changed our plans kind of at the last minute. We're only, what? Good God, 8 days away from Christmas? 9 days? So that has changed for all of us. All right, so that's it. I told you about the stolen song from David Letterman that immediately YouTube jumped on and erased from my video. I told you about the Johnson Oswar Rustica snuffs and my opinion of Rustica snuff in general. I talked about my Masala Chi from nuts.com, which is too sweet but creamy, buttery, and delicious. I talked about my insomnia, talked about the legal weed, or did I? I don't remember. Hey, must have smoked too much legal weed, man. All right. Do you believe that? I've been smoking pot for 50 years. I've been a cannabis user. 50 years. That's a lot of misdemeanors. Like every day. Oh, well. But it saved my eyesight for 18 years. I was supposed to have gone blind by age 22, maybe, and I kept my usable eyesight into my early 40s. So, it worked. From the Dank Basement, Paul Schellbetter, and thank you for spending some time with me this morning. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Tonight we're going to do a proper pinch, which is Squinty, if I can find some music that YouTube won't jump all over me about. Thanks.